Okay, I think we're live. Welcome, everybody. So, here's a question for you. What if right now there is an area of your life that you're trying to change and everything that you're doing is not working? What if right now there's an area of your life where if you made this one change, this one 2 millimeter shift, what if it changed everything? In this video, I want to talk to you about a way of changing, a way of growing, a way of evolving. That is something that I've been spending a lot of time studying over the past 2 years. For those of you that don't know me that well, my name is Miles Statham Grant. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a human being just like you. And for a lot of my life, for as long as I can remember, I've been kind of lost. I've been lost. I've been looking outside of myself for change, whether that's a friend or a mentor or a guide or a motivational speaker. I have, for as long as I can remember, been lost. And the fundamental reasons, looking back on reflection as to why I've been lost, you can trace it right back to childhood. I fit the profile of what I would imagine there are a lot of people out there who have experienced this. Grew up without a father. Father wasn't present. That masculine element, that masculine vibration is critically important to the child. And then grew up with a mum who also didn't have her own emotional stability. Her dad was there, but not present. Her mum was not there. And so as a result, I was raised by a mum who was really emotionally unregulated. And, a lot of my childhood was, I felt safe, but not emotionally nurtured. And I tell you that not as a story of sympathy, because in actual fact, that's a lot of people's childhood, right? But the key is less in this particular video about the childhood, but actually about when there is an area of your life where you are trying to change. If it's not working, it may be that you want to look at this particular concept. And this concept I want to talk to you about is about what I call identity level change. You see, when a lot of people think about making a change, they do what I've done in the past, which is they think about making a change on a logical level. Now, something from NLP, Robert Dilts had what we call the logical change model. And, in today's day and age, there are, many great books about habits. And I think habits are great. I think habitual change is really powerful. I think it's really, really good. But the problem with habitual change is it's a surface level change. It's a logical level change. And what I've been finding about myself over the past couple of years, just to kind of give you a timeline, about 18 months ago, I came off Facebook. I was on social media a lot, and I was going through a really, really interesting period of really over comparing and really looking at other people's lives and not looking at it through a lens of they're doing good, but actually I'm not enough. And it was really it was really affecting my self-esteem. And I actually thought initially that there was something wrong with me. And it wasn't till I actually had my Facebook account hacked and came off social media that I was able to spend some time kind of going dark, if you will. Started having therapy, joined a men's group, which for those of you that don't know is and I say this not in a disrespectful way, by the way, if this is something you've been affected by, but I'm not an alcoholic, I never have been. But I imagine people that go to maybe an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting or go through like a 12-step program. A lot of it is about admission, is about being honest and open about accepting that is something that you've had a problem with. And so the men's group for me initially was really a space for me to kind of admit and say, hey, I have been really emotionally unregulated. I've been blaming other people. I've been comparing. I've been living in the story of the past and my childhood and all this, blaming people, blaming my mom. And this men's group didn't heal any of that childhood stuff. But what it did, it created the space for me to become aware of it, conscious of it, and start to move through it. And actually the platform, what it gave me was a space to really just get comfortable with articulating how I was thinking and feeling. You see, as a kid growing up, I obviously, as we do, we role model our parents. I role modeled my mum, and my mum would, when she got emotional, would hide it. I never forget, being a kid, I would regularly see my mum when she would be upset, hiding that emotion. I would want to comfort her and she'd say, I'm okay. And she wasn't okay, but she didn't want to show emotion. So as a result, I modeled that. And as an adult growing up and then getting into relationships, many of those relationships were breaking down because I was not showing emotion, or if I was showing emotion, it was coming out as anger. I believe anger is often a indicator that there is emotion trying to get out that's been suppressed. So the men's group was really powerful because it created a platform, it created a space for me to just be open about how I was feeling, what I was thinking, and I just started to be more open. And it started to make me feel different, started to make me feel like a new version of me. Like I once described in a men's group that I felt like I was going from a healing, a wounded boy to a healing man. And I still feel like I'm on that path, but it feels like slowly but surely the wounded child is being healed and is moving into a man where I am more emotionally regulated. I'm more open. I used to, if something kind of pissed me off, I'd kind of keep it to myself. And now I'm more open about saying to somebody, telling them how I feel. And before I'd never do that because I was a pleaser and I was too scared that if I didn't please, I would get rejected and so on. So going back to the original point of this video where we talk about identity and how if you really want to have lasting change and that the habitual level isn't enough, it's because you have to change your identity. Joe Dispenza, you may have heard me talk about this before. He wrote a great book called the Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And what he is referencing is that most of us are going through our life living, speaking, thinking with a software that is outdated. We are living almost like a child. We're behaving like a child. We're reacting emotionally like a child. We're being emotionally triggered like a child. It's like we are driving a car with a 10-year-old in the back seat who is giving us directions and giving us instructions of how to drive, and we are allowing them to tell us what to do. We are emotionally reacting to what they say and what they think and what we think, what they should do. I know sometimes it still happens in me. Just the other day something happened and I was aware of it. And if this is resonating on any level, what I want to make sure you do is don't beat yourself up about it, because 90% of resolving this is awareness. And when you are more aware, you are, 90% of the way there to resolving it. The other 10% is actually doing the work to work through it. So the men's group for me was about awareness. And then from there, over the past sort of 6 to 12 months, I've been doing a lot of inner child work. a few years ago, I dabbled with inner child work. I think I read one book on it and was like, great, that's great, I'm fixed. And actually, I realized that work on self is a lot like going to the gym. You've got to do it over and over again. It's never a thing that you can stop and you're fixed. But I also must stress that you're not broken. This is not about fixing what's broken. This is about just upgrading the software, to go back to the original analogy, metaphor. Never get that right. Who cares? So the point being is that if you really want a long-term change, you have to change your identity. And to change your identity, you first have to, number one, make a decision that you want to make a change on a level that's long-lasting. It's like I heard a video earlier and somebody was coaching someone and they said, are you interested or committed? It was about content. This person had dabbled with content. They'd not been consistent. They could have been talking about me, because that has been me. And I realized any time I've ever not followed through on something, it's because I've been interested, not committed. And often I've kind of beat myself up about it, where I've not followed through. But then I look at other areas such as my health and fitness, my marriage, my parenting, where I do follow through and recognize the issue isn't with the follow through. The issue is I have an identity in my marriage. I have an identity in my parenting. I have an identity with my health. But perhaps there are other areas where I haven't had the same identity. So the old school cliche, fake it till you make it, it kind of works here. It kind of works here in the sense that you have to do something that the old you wouldn't do to help to create a new level of identity. Like, you have to literally do something that the old you wouldn't do. I'll give you a real example. So this it's the most relevant one that I can give you in this moment. So I just had a call today with a studio. I'm going to go in and record some YouTube advertisements. And the old me wouldn't have done that, right? The old me would look at people online doing YouTube ads and just go, hey, good for them doing YouTube ads, right? This is like an ad with a view to someone clicking and then buying something, right? You've seen those, I'm sure, where you furiously waiting to skip the ad for 99% of the time. And the old me would have never done those ads, because now I'm aware of this pattern in me. Me doing an ad and having somebody skip ad would just be further reinforcement that I'm not enough. And what's really, really powerful is to know that, and I'm kind of going to come back to the point in a second, referencing something from Joe Dispenza that I heard recently, which I love. He says, he said one of his biggest breakthroughs is he recognizes that just because he has a thought does not mean it's true. Just think about that for a minute before we move on. He said, just because I have a thought, so just because you have a thought that something is good or bad or black or white or you should do it or you shouldn't do it, just because you have that thought does not mean it's true. So when you recognize that thoughts are just a stream of a download, something from the world comes in, and this is a little bit NLP, and then you filter that information, you run it through a set of filters to determine what that means in your world. So most people aren't actually living reality. What they're living is the reality according to their filters. So like, I wear these glasses to block the blue light because I'm starting to get headaches, and I especially wear them before bed. And I know that when I'm in front of a ring light, as I am right now, it helps to create a new filter where it doesn't affect my eyes as much. So going back to the point I was making is that who you are is really just a figment of your imagination. I've been interested in recording YouTube ads for several years. And now I've made the decision that I'm committing, and I will now be the identity of a person that records YouTube ads. And that's just one microcosm. Like, I met a guy in the gym the other day who said he stopped smoking. He said, I'm trying to quit smoking. I said, how about you say, I'm not a smoker? Try that on. And he just there in that moment, he was willing to play. He said, I'm not a smoker. It was like a light bulb went off in his brain. He was like, that's good, man. Language is powerful. Just because I have a thought doesn't mean it's true. He was wearing the identity of a person trying to stop smoking. I'm not a smoker, never have been. Apart from maybe when I pretended to smoke, but just kind of puffed it out when I was like 15. That was not smoking. I'm not a smoker. I never have been. I never will be. And he is more likely to not smoke again by saying, I'm not a smoker. When people offer him a cigarette, I'm not a smoker. I don't smoke, sorry. So it's like anything that you aren't yet doing, or if there's an area where you want to improve, start saying you are something that you want to be. Like, start saying, for example, one of the things that I've been doing is kind of playing with this idea of having roles in particular areas of my life. So in my fitness, I have this role, which I basically say, I'm athlete fit. So when I wear that role, that identity of being athlete fit, I think, behave, act. And I immediately think of my food choices, my lifestyle, my sleeping habit, my training regimen, like an athlete. I've been to the gym this morning. I've done the spin bike this morning. I've done cardio in the kitchen with Satty this afternoon. I'm going to go on the spin bike later. I've just had like broccoli and sprouts with chicken and olive oil, and more often than not, when I think about myself as the identity of an athlete, I more often live into that identity. So any area that you are not yet where you want to be, focus less on the identity, focus less on the habitual level change and more on thinking perhaps who in your life already does this and how do they act. For example, I've got friends who record YouTube ads every week. So I asked myself, how would they show up? Well, they would just make it non-negotiable and mandatory to record YouTube ads. It's not a thing they're interested in. They just do it. If you are not fit and you want to be fit, don't worry about the habit of joining the gym. Don't worry about the habit of working out. Say, I am a fit person. I am an athlete. Speak into it as if you are already the person that is already fit and in shape. Because when you speak out like I am already that, you are more likely to be that. One of these videos I'm going to go into talking about quantum jumping and timelines, parallel universes, some kind of heavy stuff I've been learning over the past year around the fact that this idea that, think about that movie Sliding Doors, if you're familiar with that, Gwyneth Paltrow. Right now there is another version of you existing that is already doing the thing you want to do. And do you know why I believe this to be true? If you see somebody doing something, this is where comparison is good. If you see somebody doing something and you think, I want to do that, that's because somewhere in a parallel universe you're already doing it. So this year I'm going to be starting a podcast, but a proper podcast, like in a studio with the lights and the cameras and the angles. Because for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been seeing people doing podcasts like that and going and feeling something. I didn't know what it was, but I've been feeling something. And now I know what it is. It's that there is an identity inside of me on a different timeline that is thinking that is already doing that. And now I just need to step out of this current timeline into the new one and do it. And that's where comparing can actually be helpful. Because if you're in NLP, they say if you spot it, you've got it. If you see, if somebody triggers you, it's because you've got that emotion in you. But if you see somebody doing something, if somebody's in shape and it makes you feel intimidated, that's a part of you that is already in shape, that is saying, come over to this universe, come over to this parallel world and come and join us. Come and get in shape with us. It's already there. You've just got to make the decision to be a new identity and think less about the habit and more about being. Eckhart Tolle says we're called human beings, but we live like we're human doings. Start being the kind of person you want to be rather than thinking about the things you've got to do. Because when you be it, it will be more likely that you will vibrate in a way that makes you do it, because it will be like natural. It will be your identity. And then it won't be a should I go to the gym? For example, it will be I am an athlete. So it is non-negotiable for me to do that every day. Yeah. Hey, look, I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, love to hear from you. Comment in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. What did you get out of this video? Well, where does this resonate with you? If you're on Facebook, give me some likes and hearts and whatever. But I'd love to know, more importantly, what this does for you, where there's an area where you are going to be focusing on. Don't just watch this. Knowledge is not power unless it's applied. So use this. Don't just watch these videos passively to motivate you. Motive is nothing without the action. So make sure you do something with this information. That's it from me. See you next time. Peace out. Take care.